This is lecture 33 on urban transportation planning. We will continue our discussion on transportation surveys in this class and complete our discussion in this class itself on this particular topic. You may recall in the previous lecture, at the end we discussed about home interview survey, which can also be called as household survey. We know now there are basically three methods available for home interview survey or household survey. Number one, you can actually send out surveyors to the households to collect information from the members of the household, or you can collect the information telephonically after sending the format or questionnaire to the households in time. Third possibility is you can send the questionnaire to the households with reply paid envelope and request them to fill up the questionnaire and send back to you. There are three possibilities. And when we discussed about the sample size for the household survey, we realized that the sample size suggested by BPR, Bureau of Public Roads USA, is based on the conditions, based on the socio-economic characteristics prevailing in the USA, and the same sample size may or may not be relevant for developing countries like India, where the socio-economic characteristics lie over a wide range compared to the range over which these characteristics fall in cities of developed countries. In that context, I suggested that the sample sizes suggested by the BPR can be simply doubled for our condition. For example, for cities with 1 million and more of population, instead of 4% as suggested by BPR, we need to have at least 8% as the sample size, right. And with that background, let us look into some more aspects of home interview survey. The information to be collected from the home interview survey can broadly be classified into two groups. What are the information? We have already discussed about the two sets of information, one about socio-economic characteristics of the household, then second one, the set of information related to trips made by the different members of the household, right. Household information basically related to socio-economic characteristics and journey or trip data. And what exactly needs to be collected as household information? You can list out several aspects related to household characteristics, starting from the address of the household itself. Even though you might send out questionnaire, still you can check for the correct address and record the correct address of the household, right. Then general overall size of the household, total number of persons in the household, age of all the members of the household, sex, structure of household. This implies the type of relationship between the members of the household, right. Grandfather, grandma, father, mother, okay, daughter, son, like that kind of relationship, or cousin, okay, brother-in-law, and so on. There could be so many kinds of relationship between the members of the household. That is what is meant here as structure. This structure is very important again for developing countries like ours, because the head of the household is the caretaker of most of the activities of the household, and he or she is the person who will be making most of the trips. So the structure is a very important aspect which governs the trip making behavior of the household members. Earning members or number of employed persons. occupation, the nature of job in which they are employed, and place of work. It is an additional information to have an understanding of the location where the exact workplace is located, so that later on you can cross check the zonal movement, interzonal movements. A number of motor vehicles owned. Under our condition we can also include non-motorized vehicles like bicycles, that is also important. Household income and so on. Please note that I have listed household income as a last item because it is rather difficult to collect accurate information about this particular aspect. Still you can try out, and if possible you can collect information about indicators of household income as and when required. Then the journey data will contain information on all trips made during the previous 24 hours. That is the most important aspect. What is that previous 24 hours? If your date of interview is, let us say, 10th, you will be collecting information about all trips made on 9th. Why previous day, or why not some other date 1 week earlier or 5 days earlier? Any response?
They might tend to lose 1 or 2 informations.
They may
tend to lose 1 or 2 informations.
They might forget about the trips actually made. So it is better you collect the information when everything is fresh in their mind. So most probably they may not forget about trips made the previous day, right? That is the idea, nothing else. The information to be collected with regard to trip or origin and destination of trip. This information has to be collected for each of the trips made by a household member. One might make more than one trip. Purpose of trip, modes of travel, time at start of trip, time at finish of trip. These are all the things required for us to do the 4-step analytical process, right? Now you may recall this list. We have listed totally 8 different types of surveys, and we have now completed our discussion on the first one, namely home interview survey, right? Basically we collect information from households about socio-economic characteristics and the trips made by each member of the household, and we normally resort to sampling. Clear? Then we will discuss about commercial vehicle surveys and so on. What is a commercial vehicle? In this context, commercial vehicles are goods vehicles. They could be trucks or light commercial vehicles or tractors, whatever. Motor vehicles used for carrying goods are termed here in this context as commercial vehicles. Our interest is to know the loading added to the traffic by the commercial vehicles in the network, city road network, right. That means we need to have information about the complete movement of the commercial vehicle within a day, 24 hours information. So this can be obtained only by capturing information about every trip made by a particular commercial vehicle, isn't it? Now the first question to be answered is, how many commercial vehicles are operated in an urban area? How will you get this information? Then who is the owner of the commercial vehicle? These are all the questions to be answered first. Do we have any source to get this information? Luckily we have a good source, a reliable source. You may know that every motor vehicle has to be registered with a regional transport office of that particular area, right. So you can get complete information about all the registered commercial vehicles from RTO's office. and the address of the owner is also available. Even if it is sold out to somebody else, the ownership is transferred, that is also recorded. So even updated information will be available with the concerned authority. It is very easy to get complete information about the total number of commercial vehicles category wise as well as address of the owners, right. Having known this information, then how to go about getting the information in a systematic way. So we need to prepare a questionnaire or form like this, which will be distributed to each of the vehicle owners to get filled up and returned back to us, starting from vehicle type, registration number of the vehicle, name and address of the owner of the vehicle, date on which you require the information, and day normally, whether it is to know whether it is a weekend or start of the week and things like that. It is better to have some information about the day also, right. And for each trip number, you should know the origin, destination, time of start, time of finish, type of goods carried, and the footnote is also important. Treat each point of loading / unloading of goods as origin / destination. This is quite common for goods movement in an urban area. Mostly light commercial vehicles will be carrying goods in large proportions, and you will find these vehicles will be distributing goods to all the retail centers. So there will be a number of stoppages, loading, unloading points and so on. So we have to request them to indicate all the details so that we can track the movement of these vehicles completely within a day, right. And is it that easy to get this information from the vehicle owners? Because unless people give information voluntarily, we will not be able to get the relevant data, right. There are so many issues. Some may be worried about giving information because it might be related to their income tax return. So we have to inform the vehicle owners that this information will be treated as confidential information, will not be revealed to any other organization or authority, and the planning bodies are empowered to give this assurance. Okay. And then we should have some communication medium to talk to the vehicle owners and tell them about the importance of this information. We must tell them that they are helping us to help themselves later, after the entire transport system network is improved. They can drive their vehicles faster and they can save a lot of energy, as well as they can make the distribution process more efficient. The best approach is to talk to the association office bearers. All these vehicle operators will have their own association, right, and involve the regional transport officer as well as other government officials, but give more importance to the members of the association of the vehicle operators. Talk to them, befriend them, tell them that it is for their good this kind of information is collected, and nominate representatives among themselves to collect this kind of information. And after collecting the information also, you must discuss with them if you have any queries, and if you feel that some information given is not reliable and so on, right. So in that process, it should be possible for us to get accurate information about movement of commercial vehicles in the study area. Even though the format appears to be very simple, getting accurate information is not that easy, but if you have right approach, it is possible to get such information. Clear? And please note that we are not asking the detailed information about goods, just we simply ask type of goods carried. Whatever information is, maybe vegetables and fruits or some other commodity, grocery items, things like that. Okay, that is our interest. we do not want to have very accurate information about these aspects. Surveys should understand these things very carefully and clearly, and we should not insist on very accurate information on certain things. Okay. After all, our interest is to track the movement of these vehicles. Clear? Then survey of IPT vehicles, intermediate public transport vehicles, namely car taxis, auto rickshaws as well as cycle rickshaws under our condition. If a city has cycle rickshaw service, that also comes under IPT service. The format is same as we have followed for commercial vehicle survey, as you could see here: type of vehicle, registration number, name and address of the owner of the vehicle, day, date, trip number, origin, destination, time of start, time of finish, number of passengers carried, because it is IPT, they are not carrying goods. Okay. The similar procedure can be adopted in this case also for collection of data. Get the addresses and ownership information from RTO's office, and then talk to the association people to convince them about the importance of your exercise, and get the data, required data in the format. And also the footnote is very important in this case. Treat each point of loading, unloading of passengers as origin destination. An auto rickshaw may stop at different points, load people, unload people. We have to request the auto rickshaw driver to treat each loading, unloading point as origins and destinations, right, so that we get complete information about the passengers movement as well as the vehicle movement simultaneously. Is that clear? Then information on public transport survey. Most of our cities have only two modes of public transport, namely bus and train, and train service is available only limited number of cities like Chennai, Mumbai, Calcutta and Delhi as of now, and some more cities are going to get the service shortly, right. And the information to be collected is similar to the previous case of IPT, and we have to request them to treat each ticketing stage as origin destination in this particular case. What do you understand by ticketing stage? I think some of you would have noticed the bus conductors making some entries in a folded sheet. That sheet is called trip sheet. Trip sheet is nothing but a matrix. If there are 14 stages between an origin and a destination, then there will be a 14 by 14 matrix, that sheet, and conductors will be making entries of number of passengers travelling from stage 1 to stage 3, 1 to 5, 1 to 8, 1 to 14 and so on. That is what they do. After selling out tickets, they will have the total number, they will look at the serial number, or now things are getting changed, they do everything electronically. So these entries will be automatic, right. So that is how they make entries. So it is possible to get this kind of information from public transport operators for movement of passengers from one stage to another stage. Total number, you can get very accurate information because it is recorded and it is very much related to the financial aspects, right, fare box revenue. So there cannot be much of error in this thing, so your data can be believed to be accurate. Of course, if you have systems of issuing pass, such information has to be collected separately and then put into this general pool of passenger movement. In our country, in several states, free pass is issued to students, and in such cases there will not be entry corresponding to free pass cases in your trip sheet, because trip sheet is prepared based on tickets issued, and pass holders will show just their pass and get something ticked or punched, right. So you must get information about travel of pass holders using these transit vehicles separately and then pull them together. Clear? Otherwise the information to be collected is same, and you need not have to struggle much as in the case of IPT or commercial vehicle survey, because there will be a limited number of public transit operators. You can straight away approach the operators and get the information from one central location, right. And this is what we have done so far. We have completed a discussion on 4 different types of surveys, starting from home interview, commercial vehicle survey, intermediate public transport survey and public transport survey. And let us see how to go about doing a roadside interview survey. And I think all of you understand the purpose of conducting roadside interview survey and where do we conduct the roadside interview survey. Roadside interview surveys are conducted at the point of intersection of the radiating roads and the cordon line, right. This is mainly to capture the external to external, external to internal and internal to external trips. Okay. That is the purpose of this roadside survey or cordon line survey, right. And as indicated here, there will be interview of the drivers, okay, at the roadside. Let us see how to go about doing this survey. This will also be done for 24 hours period, one complete day, one full day. This is the layout of a roadside interview station. I have shown a stretch of road with two-way traffic movement, and the details shown pertain to roadside interview survey for one direction of traffic, not both the directions. Survey details pertain to only one direction of movement. And if you look at the signs installed at the location, sign number 1 here informs the drivers with this message: traffic survey, please stop if requested. So that will be informed, or that information will be provided well in advance of the actual survey location. Then signage 2, stop here for interview, somewhere here. Sign 3, thank you, of course they spend some time to give information, we have to thank them, thank you. And signage 4 on the other side is for the opposing stream of traffic, because you are creating a bottleneck here, reducing the pavement width. So you have to inform them that traffic survey, drive with extra care. Okay. These are all the important mandatory signages that will be provided at the survey location. And then I stands for interviewer. The interviewing person will be locating himself or herself at this point. Then P, policeman or woman. I do not want to be gender biased, so it could be either policeman or policewoman, okay, here at the center of the road. And then the dots indicate traffic cones, because it is only temporary traffic arrangement, you can use traffic cones and create space for conducting a survey. And of course these are temporary road signs, and this is the vehicle interview bay, where you are actually stopping the vehicle for interviewing the driver. And A, line at which traffic is sampled. Why sampling the traffic? You can see 2 arrows here. If you are choosing a vehicle for interview, you are just pushing the vehicle this way. If you are not choosing a vehicle for interview, that vehicle can be allowed to go straight without stopping. If the traffic is moderate, and if you feel that you can stop all the vehicles and get the required information without causing undue delay to traffic, then you need not have to do sampling, you can stop all the vehicles for interview and allow the vehicles, right. But on major roads, if you stop each and every vehicle, it will create a severe traffic congestion, right. Queues might extend to kilometers, it will be extremely difficult. You would have seen the kind of toll collection booths that are provided on national highways in our country. There will be at least 6 booths for an approach of 2 lanes, right. So, we provide 3 booths for each traffic lane generally, and if you want to do that way on urban roads, it may not be possible, and that too it is only a temporary work. So, that is how you need to be very careful and be practical. One foolproof method of sampling is doing 50% sampling by stopping vehicles with registration numbers with last digit as odd number or even number. Okay. Look for vehicles, okay, with the last digit of the registration number as odd number, and stop all those vehicles with the ending number as odd number, so that you do automatically 50% sampling, or fix even number, stop all the vehicles with the last number being even number. Okay. So, that way you will automatically be doing 50% sampling. That is how in most cases the planners manage to sample the traffic wherever possible. And this is a very detailed exercise and systematic approach has to be there to conduct the whole of the survey. And what kind of information is collected in this survey? This is the survey data, form, survey station, surveyor, date, day, time at which you are surveying, vehicle type, origin, destination, vehicle occupancy, number of persons, and type and quantity of goods carried. I have put both passenger information as well as goods information, right. And the passenger information can be entered even for goods vehicles, number of crew members in the vehicle can be entered, so that we get some additional information, how many fellows are actually travelling. It is quite common in our country that goods vehicles are used partially as passenger transport vehicles, number of people travelling in trucks. So, making entries on both these aspects will be very useful, right. And please note that the surveyor can enter the details in all these 6 aspects, the first 6 aspects, before the vehicle comes to a stop position, right, to save time. And the information to be filled after stopping the vehicle are only these things: origin, destination, vehicle occupancy, and type and quantity of goods carried. Quantity means you should not insist on the driver to give information about how many kilograms of goods the driver is carrying. You can simply ask, give 2-3 options: empty, okay, so quarter full, half full, 3/4 full, or completely full. That is good enough for our purpose. So, we must have some strategy and try to get as accurate information as possible. Clear? In this case, we are stopping the vehicles for getting the information, but it may or may not be possible at all the survey stations. So, if you want to reduce or the stoppage duration of the vehicles, you can fill up the same thing in a kind of a postcard and request the driver to provide the information. That is what we are going to see the next type of survey, postcard questionnaire survey, right. In this survey, this is the kind of information we will be asking for, same as we have done in the case of roadside interview survey. And the surveyor will fill up the information pertaining to the yellow colored things, this information will be filled up by the surveyor himself or herself at the station. Then the filled form or the postcard with reply stamp affixed will be handed over to the driver with a request to fill up the rest of the information and post it as early as possible. Okay. So that the stoppage of a vehicle is almost minimized, maybe few seconds of time will be sufficient just to hand out the card and request it to a person to fill up the details and post it back. Clear? And suppose you do not want to stop the vehicles at all, there is a situation where you will not be able to stop any vehicle for some reason, then try to have some compromise, still have a count of all the vehicles crossing your station, right. So you can note down the registration number of the vehicle, type of vehicle and direction of movement, right. That information you can note down and then try to do something to get the kind of information that you are looking for. So the information to be recorded here is survey station, surveyor, date, day, type of movement, external to internal, internal to external. These are the two possibilities at any survey station at the cordon line. It could be going out or coming in, right. And then time at which you are observing the vehicle, vehicle type also you can note down, registration number, right. If the vehicles are moving very fast, maybe you can create some mechanism to slow down the traffic, maybe some temporary speed breakers or use a policeman to slow down the movement of vehicles in such a way that you are able to clearly note down the registration number, right. So once you do this exercise based on this data, how will you get that there are three different types of movement that we are looking for: internal, external, external, internal, external, external. Any suggestion? So this exercise will be done at all the survey stations simultaneously in your study area. You may have 20, 30 or even more than 100 survey stations, okay, major roads crossing your cordon line. Conduct this exercise at the same time for 24 hours period simultaneously at all the stations, right. Some vehicles would have been observed at two stations. The vehicles might have entered somewhere and then gone out through some other station, right. Or a vehicle might have entered, done some work inside your study area and come back through the same station. That is also possible, isn't it? Go out. So all these possibilities are there, and you can do a kind of matching of the registration numbers of vehicles, right. With that you will be able to fix the timing as well as station at which a vehicle is passing. It is possible, isn't it? We are recording the timing as well as station number, because station identity is always there, right. Surveyor's name, survey station information is there, station information is normally station number. So once you have the station number, time of crossing and vehicle type and the registration number, if you try to match the registration numbers, it is possible to track the complete movement of the vehicle, whether it is going to be external external or external internal. External internal means the vehicle would have crossed only once into a survey area and stayed there, then it is clearly external internal. And there could be movement away from your study area and the vehicle would not have returned, then it is internal external movement, right. And if it is entering through one station and exiting through another station, it is external to external, right. And if the same vehicle is observed through the same station going in and going out, then two movements, external internal, then internal external. So all these things can be easily studied by matching the registration number. With computer programs available, it is easy for you to do this kind of matching business. Just type out the codes of the survey stations and registration number of vehicles and time of crossing and type of vehicle, you will be able to clearly get the movement pattern of these vehicles. It is possible. Then tag on vehicle survey. This is similar to registration number survey, but you will be able to capture the movement immediately on completion of your survey. Let us say you are preparing a tag with this information. Tag is nothing but a sticker kind of small label, right. You are making entries about survey station code, surveyor, date, day, vehicle type, time while sticking the tag normally on one corner of the windscreen of the vehicle. So you are requesting the driver to almost slow down to enable you to stick a tag onto vehicle, then allow the vehicle to pass, right. Let us say a tag is stuck onto windscreen of a particular vehicle and it is never collected later. That means the vehicle has gone into a study area and maybe parked somewhere for the whole day. And let us say at a survey station a person is seeing a vehicle with a sticker already stuck on the windscreen, then that sticker has to be collected, tag has to be collected, and the following entry has to be made: survey station code again, surveyor, date, day, vehicle type and time while removing. Okay, make this entry also. In the same sticker you have both the information. Okay, you have a record of the movement of the vehicle once you collect your sticker, right. And if stickers are not collected, probably either they are internal to external or external to internal movement. And these stickers, while you are making entries, there will be a back copy. You can always have a record of the vehicles which are following a particular type of movement, right. So this is another way of collecting information about the vehicular movement at the cordon lines. And please note, regarding registration number survey, now with the availability of video cameras, one other possibility is install video camera and capture the traffic flow in such a way that the registration numbers are clearly captured. That is possible. Then you can just play your video recording at the desired speed and casually, leisurely note down the registration numbers, record the registration number. That is also possible. You can do the whole thing, recording business in your laboratory. There is no need to worry about recording in the field. That is also possible. With video technology now available for these purposes, a registration number survey need not be done manually. You can just capture the traffic flow and record the information later, right. This is just to give you information about the city about which we are familiar, Tiruchirappalli city. This is a coded road network of Tiruchirappalli city. It is nothing different from what we have discussed. I told you that all the road intersections will be considered as nodal points and the stretch of road between intersections will be links, right. One interesting aspect that you could see here is there are no crossroads, but still we find some node numbers along these roads. In this particular city there were number of minor street crossings across major roads. Those minor roads are not really included in the general road network for the purpose of analysis, right. Because of those crisscrossing roads, there were significant change in the traffic volume and composition on the stretch of the road. So these nodal points were fixed based on the level of variation in the traffic volume and composition. You would have had number of crossroads in between, those things are not considered. Whenever you have a distinct change in the traffic volume and composition, those points were marked and those were taken as nodal points. That is how the links and nodes were finalized for this particular city, right. This is for the urban area bounded by the municipal boundary, and for the whole of the planning area similar exercise was done. This just existing street network considered for the purpose of planning, and this information is more relevant to what we have been discussing now. This line, municipal boundary, is the inner cordon line or internal cordon line, and they conducted cordon line surveys along this boundary also on the roads that are crossing the cordon line. Look at the location of the cordon line stations. They are not exactly at the point of intersection of the cordon line and the radiating road. For example, if you want to do ideally the cordon line survey for this road, the survey station should be somewhere here, but they have had the station here. You can afford to do such changes provided there is no major change in traffic flow as well as composition in the rest of the stretch. If this location is more conducive, suitable for your survey, you can choose such a location. Okay. And this is what we need to understand about the practical difficulties. For example, this is the Srirangam urban area. It is practically an island between two rivers, and look at the survey stations. They are located outside your urban area. This is the urban area boundary, but the cordon line survey stations are located outside. Normally it should be inside or at the point of crossing. It is mainly to take care of the three major streams of traffic going out of this urban area to three different cities. So that was possible only when they do the survey at this point. The whole of the traffic is crossing this river because there is only limited crossing point, and then diverge into different directions, and it is very important to capture the traffic in different directions. So that is how you can see three dots here, three survey stations located outside your urban area boundary. So these are all the practical issues that have to be tackled. That is where you need to have a complete understanding of the urban area, the traffic pattern, socio-economic characteristics, and so on. This is about the survey stations for the external cordon. You can see the dots are numbered. These are all survey station numbers, and here also based on the practical convenience, you can fix a survey station here, for example, as a common station for these two radiating roads. So there are two radiating roads. If you have to fix two stations, you have to have two survey teams, right, spend a lot of money and things like that. And for your planning purpose, if you feel that the traffic flow at this location is good enough to provide the required information, there is no need to have two stations, and you can economize on a survey work and have a single station here. Like that, some stations are at exactly at the point of intersection, some stations are a little away based on the convenience, okay, of the conduct of survey and the space requirement and so on. Clear? So this is about the survey stations as fixed for Tiruchirappalli city, and as you may recall, we talked about preparation of different inventories when we started our discussion on transportation surveys. So we need to have inventory of transport facilities also to complete the data collection process. So the inventory of existing transport facilities should be undertaken to identify the deficiencies in the present system and the extent to which they need to be improved, right. The inventory of transport facilities consists of the following: inventory of streets forming the transport network. Streets here means actually the roads. The English terminology for urban roads is streets, okay. It is not the streets as we understand under Indian conditions. It means actual roads. What do you understand by inventory of streets forming the transport network? What kind of information you will be collecting with regard to streets? Anyway, before collecting the information, we should have divided the entire network into nodes and links. We know what are the roads which are going to be considered ultimately for your planning purpose, route assignment purpose. That should be fixed first, right. So, we will know completely the nodes and links related to your analysis, that is known to you. So, your interest is only with regard to these nodes and links. And when you think of a street network, it involves both the links as well as nodes. What kind of information you will collect with regard to links? Length of the link, width of the link, isn't it? Number of traffic lanes available, that's what is meant by width of the link, right. Any other information? Whether you provide for on-street parking on that link or not. So many other information can be collected, and if you look at nodes, the complete geometry of the intersection, number of legs, okay, and the traffic restriction on the intersection, one way, two way movements and things like that. Okay, this is what we mean by inventory of street forming the transport network. Then traffic volume composition, peak and off peak. How to get this information and where to collect this information? I would say you have to collect this information at all the nodal points. Once you do this, you will automatically get the information related to your links. Node is an intersection with different legs or arms. These legs are nothing but links, isn't it? So, once you collect information about traffic volume and composition at all the nodal points, at all the intersections, you will automatically get information about the traffic volume and composition for your links, right. So, traffic volume and composition information has to be collected at all the nodal points, both for morning peak, evening peak as well as off peak hours. Then studies on travel time by different modes, very important. You have to actually observe the travel time on all the links and the time required for crossing each of the nodes or intersection delays also ought to be collected. Okay. Inventory of public transport facilities means the fleet size, number of vehicles used, okay, schedule of operation, routes of operation, fare structure and efficiency of operation, management system, whatever is relevant for our purpose we have to collect from public transport operators. And similarly, inventory of rail transport facilities, another mode of transport. Parking inventory, very important, both on street as well as off street parking facilities, complete information about the capacity, average duration of parking, parking demand, all this information have to be collected with regard to parking, clear. So, this is what we mean really by inventory of transport facilities. And of course, this is only optional accident data, right. It is not really inventory, it is a related information. Normally planners used to collect this information so that it provides an additional input with regard to traffic condition on various links and nodes. Then inventory of land use in economic activities. As you know, since travel characteristics are closely related to the land use pattern, it is of utmost importance that an accurate inventory of land use be prepared. How to prepare the inventory of land use? Obviously, you have to prepare this inventory zone wise for each traffic zone. Having known the type of land use, get the information about the intensity of land use. that is it. Okay. Get information about land use and its intensity for each of the traffic zones. Data on intensity of usage of land for different purposes such as residential, industrial, commercial, recreational, open space, etc. in each of the traffic zones are to be collected, right, from concerned departments, organizations. That is very important. Please note that each and every building in an urban area would have got approval from some authority before construction. That means the complete record of every structure in the urban area is available somewhere in some department. And please note, all these buildings will be given power connection by electricity board. That means they have all the information about the activities here. And the commercial tax department will be collecting tax from all these establishments if they are commercial institutions. Okay. So, it is a question of identifying the right source and getting information about different activities in each of the traffic zones with regard to the type of land use and its intensity, right. Then inventory of economic activities, it is only to cross check your home interview data. So, it is better or it is enough if you get some aggregate data on socio-economic as well as demographic aspects related to the urban area. The information to be collected are with regard to population of the planning area and the various zones for the whole area as well as zone wise information. Age, sex, composition of the family, you may recollect the same information is collected through home interview survey. This is just for cross checking. Okay. Employment statistics, you may wonder why cross checking, we are actually collecting data ourselves and so on. You see, you are doing sampling and then you are going to extrapolate or just expand your database to cover the whole of the urban area, right. Within a zone you would have collected data from 100 households, then you will assume that rest of the households which may work out to 900 to have a similar characteristics, right. So, in such a case the expansion, possible errors in expansion can be identified using this as the secondary source of information. Housing statistics, income statistics at the aggregate level, vehicle ownership and so on. One important source to get this information is population census record. So, one of the good sources to collect some of the data, some of the data pertaining to economic activities may be available in population census records. Please remember, population census record apart from demographic information provides good amount of data related to economic background of individuals as well as families. So, that can be made use of to cross check information. A careful analysis of the census data will indicate the gaps that need to be filled in by the home interview surveys or some other means. This implies what? You must collect this data before you go in for home interview survey, so that you know what is available at the aggregate level. If something is missing, that aspect can be given more importance in your home interview survey, right. And to summarize what we have seen today, we started our discussion on two aspects of home interview survey, namely the type of information to be collected with regard to the basic socio-economic characteristics of household and then the trip information of household members. Then we discussed about the different types of surveys, starting from the commercial vehicle survey, IPT survey, public transport survey, right, and different other types of cordon line surveys, starting from roadside interview surveys, registration number survey, tag on vehicle survey and so on. and then finally discussed about the methodologies available for collection of aggregate information on socio-economic characteristics for the whole of the urban area as well as for each of the traffic zones. So, this completes our discussion on transportation surveys. The next class we will start our discussion on another topic related to prediction of future land use in urban areas.